thrill me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
It's time for Haunters Podcast, a show dedicated to Halloween horror nights, haunted attractions, and all things spooky. Here are your hosts, Mr. Wonderful, Zach Hilton, and Brooke Hilton.
Hey!
Hi.
Welcome
I haven't done
in.
this in a while.
I know. I was like, how do we do this one? Welcome in, everybody, to your favorite podcast. This is Haunters Podcast, right? That's how we do this one?
Yes, William Shatner, it is.
I wasn't sure if he paused to remember or if he paused for effect. And I think it was the earlier.
I think...
to remember.
I think it could be either or. You decide. I am Mr. Wonderful. With me, as always, Zach Hilton.
1,000%. He has a little guy in his mind, and it was like the Price is Right wheel. It was like Haunters.
Well, there's going to be a lot of show recordings today, so I'm just like, okay, I don't know how.
This is true. Well, that's okay. I'm the host of that one, so I'll handle that problem.
Yeah, but the stress of sitting there.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I got my Athletic Brewing IPA right here. No alcohol in this bad mamma jamma, just 60 calories of yum yum. It's so good.
It really is.
Yeah, I've had some of them before. They're not bad.
I like them.
They're not bad. Yeah. And always with us, the lovely, talented Brooke.
That's me. Jesus.
That's her.
Yes, it is.
I'm just doing what he's doing. I'm
God.
just doing what he's doing.
Can I strike this?
Yeah, I was just
It's
committing
called
to the
regular
bit.
beer. Oh my goodness. Wow, this wouldn't be
Should make it a
Hunters. Like,
double.
yeah, double it. That's like, now it's a 0.1. Now it's a 1. You're good to go on that. You're flying.
Baby, you just had mouthwash.
That's right. That's right. So, Wonderful alluded to that earlier. Later this week, there will be a Patreon Core Memory Unlocked Horror, where we are going to cross paths with a normal show on the Patreon of Tales from the Crypt. We watched, Crypt of Horror. I'm sorry, your show is Crypt of Horror. We watched Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood. We have thoughts. Can't wait to talk about them. It was a Corey Feldman movie. That's why I never brought it up to
Thank you, Jesus.
It's going to be a good time. That's for sure there,
If
Zach.
this is your
It is.
first time watching this show, I am not a Corey Feldman fan.
Okay, so
Get it was she's not a Corey Feldman fan. She's not with the
She's seen
Feldman.
him live.
I don't get it, you know.
And I
don't
was
get what the
pregnant and
problem is.
sober.
That's what did it. She didn't get to actually fully enjoy it
yeah.
and be immersed in the Corey Feldman experience.
We
That
were
just
in
made
our
the love
own
of him
Bordello
grow.
of Blood.
Oh,
We were in our own Bordello of Blood.
I know I wanted to murder both of you.
I loved
Oh my
it. So,
God, it was great.
if you want to check that on Patreon, please, just like these fine folks, you can be a Patreon member like Christy, Brady, Joe, Michelle, Mark, Mariah, Nicole, oh, hi, Justin, that person, and the Chad. The Chad.
He's gonna hate you.
I know, and I love them for every moment of that. And next week, very special announcement. We're doing something live in March. That's right.
Yes.
We're breaking out early. I can't announce it yet because there needs to be a time for it. And once I have that time, we will officially rock and or roll, and we will get there on Monday. So look out on our Instagram at HuntersPod. You can see it right down there. Okay. Just like the show's called Hunters Podcast, how you doing? Let's talk a little HHN before our big subject matter where we're going to help plan a trip to HHN for you to help you out. We're going to give some tricks of the trade. Yep, that's what I said. Tips, tricks of the trade. But before we get into that, there's a little bit of HHN news, rumors, and such like that. And it kind of piggybacks on the whole Ghostbusters thing. We talked about it a month ago.
Yep.
That there's rumors about Ghostbusters coming there. There's been rumors about Ghostbusters kind of taking Universal over for the past, for this summer coming.
Yeah, a Ghostbusters tribute store.
Supposedly. And then,
I saw that, yes.
And then a parade, a new parade. I think it's called the Mega Movie Parade, which could have Back to the Future, Jaws, Ghostbusters, all these classic.
What do you want?
Classic IPs that Universal really dug into in the 90s. And I think that's a great plan. And a little bit of that is more exposed because HHN Talk here, they have filed for 2 new sprung tents. And right here from Behind the Thrills, Universal has filed plans to construct 2 additional sprung tents on the storage lot behind the existing sprung tents. Plans show 2 new 7,200 square foot buildings labeled Sprung Tent 3 and 4. And the thing about this is because the parade buildings, which have been home for Beetlejuice and the Monsters in previous years, they are now full of these parade floats or, subject matter for this summer Mega Movie Parade. So now they needed a new location for these because definitely HHN is not going to go back to 8 houses. They don't want to not have these 10 houses of extravaganza. So wonderful. You see these plans. Yeah. What does it say to you? What do you feel about these now new houses being sprung tents and not the parade buildings like we know?
It's growth. It's continuing growth of HHN and how big it's getting and where it's going, and makes me excited for the year. Makes me curious what's going to happen. What really is kind of going to be announced. I'm just really curious. Listen. I feel like the Cody Crybabies right now, where I'm like, I know that we're gonna get to the story and we're gonna figure it out, but it's really I'm enjoying kind of this cool that's a little curveball, that's a little change up, a little slider, a little knuckle. Just gonna keep throwing out baseball analogies since spring training's going on. Yeah, baseball. So
two. It's Enrico Palazzo.
Okay, away from the naked gun there for a second.
Oh, I know.
Can't wait, Liam.
Know. Unfortunately, I know.
Liam Neeson, baby. But back to Universal. It's just exciting. It's cool. I'm curious to see. I just imagine now it's grander and bigger in there.
Right.
It's gotta be nicer, right? It's gotta be nicer in there, right? It's gotta be a nicer house.
Well, okay, we'll throw it to you, Brooke. Like I said, it's no longer in the parade building, which they had this elevated room that we could use. I remember how Beetlejuice just stood up top looking at us, telling us to come in. Right. But now that's kind of going away.
With it being in a
sprung tent.
Here's what I will say, though. I know that it seems like they're taking away because they don't have the vertical space.
Right.
But the creative team there really does a good job of not making you feel like you're in a sprung tent. It brings me back to, oh my God, what was the house? The one with the train.
Yes, a couple of years ago, the not Last of Us.
Yes,
house.
The not Last of Us house, where it looked like they did a really good job, and you didn't realize it going through the house. But they had, if you did the behind the scenes tour, they had mirrors and things set up to make it look like it was bigger and
bigger, long, like extended.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say that, but then I had to readjust because it
girthy. Really.
That's
it was
why
a girthy house.
I stopped
So girthy.
talking.
The biggest girth.
Some would say absolutely the girthiest.
I have a question. Is that
I'd say
why
it's just the right
so
amount
many
of girth.
guys like to do it in front of a mirror?
Yeah, that's why we stand in front of the mirror. And we kind of.
Oh,
that's
is
why
that
we
why?
love those. That's why I love the wacky mirrors.
Oh, I thought it was. I just always really like that moment with Jason Bateman, or not, Jason Patrick or whatever. I'm making it very.
What the
high
fuck
right
are
now.
you
You
saying?
bombed.
Well, I
You
bombed.
bombed.
I
You
failed.
bombed.
Ah! Yep,
Please
there he
exit.
goes. There he goes. Yes, but I get what you're saying with the girth.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. No, I think that they just do a really good job of not making you think like you're in a tent.
Right.
So as much as it concerns me, I sometimes feel like because they are in a tent, it pushes that creative part a little bit more in order for them to use the space wisely. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm sure that there's like a hit on the fact that, it's not in one of the warehouses type thing, not warehouse.
Everybody's going to be upset about that.
Right. But
it is what it is.
And especially when it comes to the fact of, Florida's not anything shy of knowing that it rains there. So that would be my only negative hiccup towards it.
What a floated. Welcome
Good
back,
now?
baby.
Did you get rebirthed?
What he's rebirthed. And now he will be dubbed Jason Patrick. I agree with you guys 100%. I was just kind of pulling that troll, but I want my warehouses. I'm good because one thing out of this that I know sprung tents really do well are those facades.
Yeah.
So now we're just going to have two cool facades sitting out there while we go in, whether it's original or IP. I mean, they do such a good job with these tents.
You're actually right with that because usually where like the parade's gonna floats are gonna be, they just have like the picture on the wall.
The picture on the wall.
Which is I love, but at the same time, I love a facade a lot more, and I don't consider that necessarily a facade.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a picture on the wall.
Right.
Let's, Willy Wonka that shit, immersive.
Immersive Glasgow style.
Yeah.
God, can they do an HHN house?
No.
I'm hiring that team for Halloween Atkins nights.
Oh my God.
And they're going to be in control of every house.
You know
that
what
we
they
put
would
on
not
here.
be in control of is Universal and in England.
Yeah,
Where they
yeah.
in London or whatever
Don't
it
get
is.
them.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, what?
I was just gonna say, over the years, there are houses over the years that they don't need as big of a space as they end up getting. So
Right.
I mean, Slaughter Cinema killed it. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I feel like they bring it down, like they take away some of the vertical aspects.
And being
make
kind
it
of
tight.
claustrophobic does make it. What's the one with the guitar player from last year?
Darkest Steel.
Darkest Steel? Fantastic house. Sprung tent.
It's like Stranger Things.
No, not that guitar player. That's a different guitar player. All right, let's move on because we're a ragtag team of planners right here. All right, we know how to do HHN trips, and this is for the folks that travel. I know Floridians kind of have it easy between the universal passes, and you can get those one-night stays at the hotels. You can just drive home if you want. You guys can really plan your own one-day trips very well. This is kind of for the people like us coming from Virginia, Ohio,
Out of town, like
Colorado,
really out of town.
all these people. And I want to kind of do a level of tiers of the booking of this trip. And we're doing it this early because we all have a sneaking suspicion that the tickets are going to go on sale in March or April in this time period. So you just take whatever tips and advice that we can give and maybe just use it for your trip. There's one crazy bastard, Josh, I Heart Monsters. We'll get to how he plans his trip every year, and it's fucking bonkers, and I love him for it. So, how would you like to start this, Brooke? Would you like to start with the, like, wonderful Oh Shucks package to all the way Haunters Premium Plus, or vice versa?
Well, I think what I would say is at this point in time, like what you should be doing time-wise.
Okay.
So kind of
starting at the far point, like how we're doing.
Yeah.
And then go, yep, perfectly. So the way we'll do this, since we're almost at ticket buying season, we'll start there and then we'll work our way down to Oh Shucks.
Well, no,
as we should.
If you have not already, before tickets.
Yeah, that's why I bring that
okay.
up. That's why I bring that up.
If you have not already, I would start looking at hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Because there is somewhat of a sweet spot if you're far enough out that you can kind of get a better deal, as well as the fact that they do, especially last year, they sell out actually rather quickly, whether or not you're looking at property or around. I know that there are a ton of hotels, so you're never going to be in a position where you cannot find a hotel. Right. It just truly depends on what you're looking for in the package that you kind of want, where we were, kind of saying wonderful Oh Shucks situation.
Oh yeah, buddy.
To different on-property hotels that we have stayed in. And we have done many different ones where we have stayed in hotels that are not on property, as well as hotels
like
on
Loft. There are partnering hotels that, and you can look that on their websites where they will say we're universal partners, which means they will bring a tram out more than twice a day. It's usually 4, 6, but it's not like a universal property where they just bring it every hour.
So just to be aware of that. And there's some really good prices out there that you can find. I mean, one year we even did a timeshare.
Yes.
You did.
Never bring that up again. But let's start with here. I suggest
that was a great year.
It was a great year. It was just us, but the travel to get to said timeshare back to Universal, that was wild.
When you're on a limited time.
Yeah.
But I understand it. Hey, if that's what you have to do, I do get it. So but I think that there are some better uses.
Let's focus on the Universal package. That's what we'll call it. If you want the easy peasy, Universal will always have their own packages. You can go to the HHN website, click that, I want to do your package. They'll give you like a 2-night stay, a ticket to HHN, and like a 2-day pass. And if that's for you, if you want the easiest deal, that might be your gig. But what I say...
And with that, if you go that route, you can also do payments.
Yes.
Yes.
So just so that you are aware of
Which
that.
If that is what is for $25.
If that is like the best route for you for managing money and things like that, that could be the best route. It may not be the best dollar route.
Right.
But if you are somebody who needs like, okay, I've made payments, I've done this, and done this in order to go, then that could be a route for you.
Right. So my suggestion is Universal trip. Plan the hotel first. You only have to pay for a night. Whatever amount of days that you want to go, you only have to pay for that first night. You usually, and like how we're planning this year, we're probably doing 3 nights. So we only had to do that one. We'll pay the 2 when we get there. That's A-okay, because that gives us time for hotels already booked. And when the HHN tickets go on sale, we'll buy those. And then eventually, when Rush of Fear goes on sale, we can always upgrade that ticket for that. So you have Universal's really great at upgrading and working with you and trying to make you happy for whatever trip you're trying to plan. Because this way of spreading it out for us, when we want to look for plane or if we're going to drive, we can really plan the trip. I think if you want the most effective HHN trip, planning the further out is the best, especially if you're going with like multiple people. Like sometimes we've gone with 4 people this last trip, and then we're meeting extra people there too. So there's a lot of you want to do while planning that.
And Universal, like Zach said, does really well. So if you're looking at a hotel room on a Universal property and you're like, this is a good price, but I think it could be lower. Right. Book it. Book it right now, because if it does go lower, you can call and they will adjust the price for you.
Yeah.
So they're very accommodating when it comes to that. I will say that I wouldn't necessarily hold out for the annual pass holder rates, because sometimes those don't come. If they have already sold a certain amount of rooms,
right,
they're not going to lower the prices of the rooms that they have left, unfortunately.
Right.
So some of those deals and things that you typically get closer to may not come to fruition. So the further out that you are would be that better price point. And
right,
typically, I've even seen it be a better price than the annual pass holder rate.
True.
So.
Very true. Wonderful. Do you have any like tips and trade for the longer trip, especially if it's encountering a Universal stay?
I think you guys kind of covered it as far as the Universal stay goes, because a lot of it is usually like, I mean, outside of maybe the planning for like the plane and stuff like that, depending on how much you want to eat, like souvenir wise, maybe plan ahead on that as well, type of deal if you're coming from out of the area with travel. Because typically for me, like I know you guys plan really well on that, because you buy a lot of souvenirs. You guys are big on getting those. For me, right, even, you know, with Brooke 2 now, it's typically like, all right, we're both going to come back with like 1 or 2 things. And typically it's a Blinky cup and like something else. And the mug, or this year got the mug early because we knew travel wise, we were only coming with bags because we were, you know, flying Frontier, and we were trying to keep it to just the
cheap.
Keep it to the carry on that we're allowed, baby. So, you know, again, cheap. That's what I'm all about, okay? Which is why I'm all about sometimes not even staying on property and staying along International Drive at a place that's got, you know, a good deal and is sitting somewhere in the cleanliness good ratings, and probably has free breakfast as well. I always look for, whenever I book, if I'm not, you know, I'm going to hijack here and take over for the internet.
Go for it.
Please.
Let's do the shucks. Let's go
to shucks.
Let's do the wonderful's father taught him how to save a penny type of trip here. So honestly, you're not going to eat on this trip. Okay. Get accustomed to that. Just be ready to have very small meals. Because I can get you through HHN. I can get you through HHN where the most expensive part of your trip is going to be your tickets and the upgrade on if you decide to do like Rush of Fear or something like that, or do a night where you're like, screw it, I'm just going to do Express this one night, but I've got a ticket to get in these 2 nights or whatever.
Right.
I can get you through that trip where those are your most expensive things. Food-wise, you can do it under $100. You know, the drinks, depending on how much you want to enjoy the drinks, you know. But I am Mr. Cheap, because that first year with 25, I you know, I know we all split the room and shared it, because sometimes you do it like that.
Yeah.
But honestly, for 25, the most expensive thing that I spent on was the tickets, because we upgraded to the Express.
Right.
So it was the tickets I spent the most on. I didn't really eat on that trip. I just kind of like snacked here and there, you know. I bought us the pizza that one night, just kind of because that was at the end of the trip, and I was like, I got the money to buy the pizza because I balanced the budget for the whole trip.
I love that.
But yeah, I mean, you can find places along International Drive, like you were mentioning, Brooke. Like, you know, you don't have to stay like at like Hard Rock or anything like that. But if you want to stay off, International Drive is a good place where you could find reasonably, like, I just was looking at it. If you were to go like in March, the Hilton right across the street that we ran past that one time, it's only like, it's like 120 right now if you booked right now. Like, that's not bad for a room.
Right.
No, not at all.
And even the one we stayed at where you booked it, like even that was like resorty.
Not the one that was resorty with the one that I approved. I told him he couldn't. No, yeah. So this is the one that I had to look at before you could do it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Oh, that's right. Yes.
And here is what I will say as well is you could save money by staying off property, right? And the money that you can save, you can even put towards an Uber at that point. Because here's what I will say. If you are going to do that, you can Uber to to the Hard Rock or to Sapphire and get on the boat and go in. I would not Uber to the security, the parking garage, because it's just crazy in that area.
Yep.
So that's kind of like a tip trick, as well as when you go to leave, because we have stayed off property and went to get in an Uber after HHN was closing, along with all other 5,000 freaking people. And people were taking Ubers, and
Stealing
it was
Ubers
it was a free for all, crazy.
It was wild.
It was.
So my
it
tip
was
and
I had
trick.
flashbacks to New York City. It was the closest thing to New York City, around the holidays, what you see in the beginning of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That was Universal Studios.
Because, as we said, there is a time when they stop doing drop-offs and pickups for those hotels.
Yes.
They stop at 10 or 11.
Yeah, they don't do
They don't
the
come
2
to
a.m.,
HHN at 2
3
a.m.
Yeah, no.
Which a lot of people like to go all night.
Right.
So it is very imperative.
In that situation, what I would suggest is, again, going to Sapphire or Hard Rock and getting an Uber from there back to your hotel.
Yeah.
Just because it's going to be a little bit less people that you're fighting to try to get to your Uber, and the less likely for you to lose it. I do not suggest walking through the parking garage and a security station booth, chill out booth. It wasn't security. It was just their hangout.
It was the rest area.
Yeah, their resting area. And climbing over walls.
Over the Universal Bush area where there's layers.
Because you think that you can walk.
Than I thought.
Oh my God, because you think you could just walk across the street. I would advise you to stick to, the sidewalk, which we probably should have done.
We should have.
At least we got to smell the weed in the employee parking lot.
Yep.
And it wasn't the first time that we would walk through a random parking lot we shouldn't and smell the employees having a good time.
Oh my God, that was me and you, Wendy.
I don't know what
every time.
Yeah, when we were trying to find you at Aventura. You guys went to Aventura, and we took a wrong turn somewhere and ended up in the employee parking lot. Went up into the employee elevator.
Yeah,
and ended up at Aventura in a back way. It was crazy.
Yeah,
but we got there. Listen, I'll get you there.
Right. Yeah, you got me there.
I'll get you.
So I appreciate that. Yeah.
But no,
I followed. Where are we going, Thumper?
Yep. But
come with me if you want the.
There's so many different options that you can take that go from budget friendly to if you want to be a little bit more extravagant. There's just different avenues. But I do suggest that I would not suggest waiting till the last minute, just because that is a big amount of money to put out, because HHN is expensive. Regardless of whether or not you try to go the cheaper route, you're still putting down a chunk of money.
Right.
And even Wonderful had said with his no eating, another tip for that is order some food through Amazon. I know it's not as easy as it was before. I think you do have to spend a little bit more money, but we didn't even spend that much money last time when we ordered food, especially if you do a case of water, those kind of things, because that all adds up. $3 or $4 for that kind of thing adds up. And especially when you're in Florida, you want to make sure that you're hydrated. So anything like that.
I would throw another thing out there, and I've done this over the years because obviously when we went to 25, I was working 3 different jobs. So that's why I was cutting as much as possible as I could.
Yeah.
Now I actually do have a job that pays somewhat. It's still poor radio guy. I'm still very reliant on them to bring food into the building so I can eat at 6 o'clock in the morning barbecue while I watch a WWE pay-per-view.
Let me eat.
Let me eat. This is breakfast. Can't afford to buy eggs. Free barbecue at 6 a.m.
I still rely on food. I got excited because the boss brought in sodas the other day.
Listen, we all work in America. We get excited when we get a pizza party. But I will say, I've noticed over the years that I think it's a smart idea as well to buy the food the Universal Food Pass for the day, where you get the entree, the snack, and the drink. Because if you bring your cup refill, you can use that drink, just pay the little extra charge for the refill upgrade, and then you have the drink all day off of that. Plus, you end up with an entree, so you wisely maybe scour the park, go to like Jurassic Park, get an expensive burger or something like that. And then the snack wise, you can pick up like a popcorn or something later on in the day. Because I've done that as well, where I've utilized that, where I've purchased that at the start of the day when we've gotten into the park, activated my cup, fill my cup up throughout the day, yada, yada, yada. I have that all throughout HHN now. Had the snack around like 11:30 or so before we go back to the hotel, then make a sandwich at the hotel before coming back into the park later. And then, use it during like HHN where you've had a couple blinky cups and things like that.
Yeah, I've been known to, like, because HHN
You taught me that, actually.
Where food at HHN is now like awesome. They have all these booths and stuff like that. So you kind of want to go to the HHN Food Festival, as I like to call it. So you do want to like start your day off with pastries, like get Pop-Tarts and stuff delivered to your room. Get those Nutri-Grain bars and stuff like that. Like,
and even that is stuff that you can put it, even if you're flying in, you can have that in your carry-on bag.
The other thing that I think is important to say, because we've just strictly talked food and hotels, you could go on sites and find cheaper HHN tickets. You can go to Undercover Tourist, stuff like that. They will have tickets for at least decent price, not walk-up price, thank God. Maybe even, because HHN's been known to like raise their price as they go if you keep waiting on tickets. So the Undercover Tourist is really good at like keeping a steady one at that. And Facebook, there's a lot of people that are a part of plans and stuff like that that can, I think that's a tip as well, is to go on to these Facebook groups, try to find them and help them, or they will help you kind of figure out what you need to do this trip. Because I know there's people that haven't gone before. I know Brady Miller has talked about wanting to go and hasn't yet. So there's just so many different variations that you could do. It's all doable. You just want to make sure if you're planning an extravagant trip, I do think planning the longest, like starting now, is the proper way to do it. If you're getting closer, a weekend, oh shucks it, and good luck. You will have fun. You might remember it. You might not.
Listen, when you got like dollar Jello shots going on at the karaoke bar that's like 4 blocks down from your hotel while your friends are flying in for the night and you're just making party down in Orlando, having a good time, hanging out with Europeans from Britain that are telling you how much they love, at the time, presidential candidate Donald Trump, and you're just like, want to do a Jello shot and sing some songs? And you're doing that, and then your friends show up, and they're calling you and calling you and calling you, and then finally you answer, and you meet them out in the parking lot, and you smell like cigarettes and booze. It's a good night.
It is a night.
You really don't remember anything outside of the fact that the person that was hosting the event lived an hour from where you live now. So y'all from being from the same state. Yeah, she's from Virginia as well. So yeah, a Virginian host, baby. So
that's wild.
Do what you gotta do.
The age for lovers, baby. And
that's right. So we went on Instagram and we did a story. What are some tips that you would like to suggest to people? And we got some responses, so we'll talk that right now. Lost Shadows Art said, mind and body prep for multiple Fat Tuesday pre-games. Listen, if you need to know anything about Fat Tuesdays, because you're going to go to City Walk, if you have never gone, Fat Tuesdays is a 7-layer of heaven and hell, all combined in one. You just got to make sure you stay on your toes. And they're going to ask you if you want to add that tube thing. Just be prepared.
Gamble.
I love Fat Tuesdays.
I love Fat Tuesdays. I will never have a bad word about Fat Tuesdays.
But you know what? I love Fat Tuesdays up
In the back?
In the back.
In the back? I wish they'd open it.
Yeah, you do.
I need to get back there. I need to get back there. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
All right. Review
That's where my girlfriend told me to go.
Yeah.
That's how we learned it.
That's how we learned
it. We learned it from you. We learned it from you.
I'm not
Reviewer Rob
Wait, what?
says, I drive 7 hours to HHN. So one thing I plan is to where to stop for gas, road snacks,
clever.
drink, stretch, and playlist. And I agree. I think when we were driving, we kind of had a pattern of places we always stopped.
And here's what I will say. Driving is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if it works out for you, then I would go that route. We have been flying only because Frontier...
The prices have been just too nasty.
Right. It was actually cheaper for us to fly than to drive.
Like gas-wise. Like, if we would have spent the same price in gas, it's actually cheaper to fly, and we get there sooner.
And not the wear and tear on the car as well. So there's a lot of things that you have to put into play. And listen, I have flown on many different airlines, and I will not knock Frontier.
No,
so I have
basic.
nothing. Now Spirit, that was a little rough. I'm not gonna lie. But Frontier, I endorse.
That.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I will say the other thing to prep for with Rob's and think about cost wise is depending on how far you're coming from, the pre-check to begin with as well with the car. And speaking of the wear and tear, depending on how far it is, because I had this issue and I had to think about it and plan it the last time I drove was, I need to get the oil changed beforehand and everything checked out, but then I'm going to need to go get an oil change again within about a month or two.
Yep.
Because this is going to be a quick turnaround back into so it will add up. Yeah, it will add up, which is why I kind of was like, I'm just going to get really drunk and fly Frontier the next time.
You want to fly? Let's fucking fly.
Let's fly. At 6 a.m. fucking Bloody Mary coming back from Florida after no sleep, baby.
I love it.
Oh, I know.
Different one. That other one I had a lot of CBD. Our last one where we were all there, I just had the Bloody Mary. I was fine on that one. I was at the right level of where I needed to be flying.
Hey, you seem fine to me. You seem fine to me. I mean, we had conversations.
The year prior, I was.
I know about the year prior.
The year prior was.
Brooke
I don't remember getting off the plane when we got to Carolina, and I don't remember getting on the next
to Disney World.
Yeah, I kind of woke up and was like, wait, we're back in DC.
You were like your head earlier, just floating up.
I was.
All right,
I
so
learned
we've
maybe
talked.
8 CBDs are bad.
We talked Universal trips, how we like to do them now. We talked, oh shucks. This next one from Josh, I Love Monsters. My man's wild, and he does this every year. It has not broken yet. So, what he does not plan, really. He books his flight and hotel like a week before his trip, and he buys tickets to the event as late as possible. You madman, that is a dangerous game you're playing, and I'm not about that roulette life.
I feel like that's such an expensive, game that you're playing. Even when you think about planes, getting a last-minute flight is usually expensive. Unlike most places where it's like, oh, we have a seat available. They're like, we have a seat available for 3 times the price. They're not like, fill this seat and it's cheaper.
Right.
So
I don't know. He's a wild man.
Yeah.
He's a wild man.
Yeah, that's not a game that I'd want to play.
No. Not at all. No. K-Bud B86, who is a Patreon member, we know you. So she says Sapphire Falls, and she is not wrong. Sapphire Falls is a goddamn godsend, and it's actually where we booked to stay this year. It has my favorite pool. It's right to a boat, and it has a decent price. It gets us to Cabana Bay if we need to get there. We got Aventura, which has a rooftop bar right next door. I mean, it feels such like a good location.
Yeah,
I love Sapphire Falls.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best ones that staying at all the
the
places.
smell in the
really
place
is,
is so nice. Our friend of the show, Kate, she says, I plan to let Brooke plan everything. So, I mean, that's a very good call. You've gotten to like a great point in planning these trips where it's almost clockwork.
Well, I think that I am all of my attributes about being OCD, as well as somebody who likes to save money, and I, investigate things and make sure that everything is what it should be, and I like to plan. Like, I love to plan.
Yeah.
So I think it's that niceness of knowing, I know it's going to be right. You just tell me how much. And I know that I am regardless saving money.
Right.
So,
100%.
I think one of my favorite things is when Jason was like, I'm sorry, how much was that? And I told him, and he was like, done. Like, I don't think I've ever had a trip this cheap. Done. Like,
or a treat.
Yeah.
Speaking of treats, Bernard, he says food I want to try. And I love that because Universal, again, like I said, they've kind of made this a food festival type of event as well. And they've started to incorporate, like, okay, we're putting out the menus early.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to have a food preview that you could come to and stuff like that. Like, planning for food has become just as big as like planning out what houses I want to go to.
Absolutely. And it's also very important to know locations of things. So if there's a food that you want to try, you want to make sure while you're over in that area that you're using your time wisely and getting the food in, as well as the fact that you do have to plan budget wise if you want to eat certain things. I would always suggest, if you have somebody to share with, do that. Just because it is a good route. I also suggest the Blinky Cup, because for a few extra dollars, you're getting a souvenir.
It's an automatic souvenir.
And they're fun. Like,
and when you pay for them, they're like $20, $18, something like that. But then from there on out, it's only like 13 to fill. And it's 20 ounces instead of like a 16 or 12.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Plastic cups.
Yeah.
So like you're kind of getting a better deal, and you can always bring them back. So if you
can always put the liquor in it as well.
Why wouldn't you?
And here's the thing.
No. I meant the liquor drinking that they're selling out there, like when they're selling their juices and stuff. Yeah, no, not me.
I mean, we've never done purified water at this event. We've heard purified water. We have never purified water at the event. I'm getting into brewing, but I've never purified water in my life.
I will say, you can't go wrong with Bitter Boys.
Bitter Boy.
But no, on the real, even if you're like, I'm only going to get one drink, what's the point? Look at it as, but if I spend $3 or $4 extra, I'm buying a souvenir for $4.
Pretty
much.
much.
$5. Do you know what I'm saying?
Pretty
so
much,
you have to look at it like that too. Because it could, now if you're not a cups person, I mean, what's wrong with you? But if you're not, I completely understand that. And it might not be right for you, but I do think that it's a really good option to have like an upgrade for a souvenir as well as cheaper drinks with more drinks in the future. Yeah.
Agreed.
Luke for the design, friend of the show, Luke. He says weather. Just kidding. It's Florida. And I love this because I think the thing I've realized with weather, this is why I upgrade to Russia Fear. Because I'm planning multiple nights to go, and there is going to be that one night that just so much rain's going to drop on you and you're going to go through a house alone that if you book around it, there is going to be a clear night. There's going to be a great night you could go through. So,
I really think this year I'm going to buy the things that go around your shoes.
You showed this to me. I think so too. Yeah. I'm all about it.
I'm here for it because I feel like that would be easy to pack away. And if it's going to rain or whatnot, then I can put them on my shoes. Because let me tell you, it's not even being wet. That's horrible. It's the shoes being wet. That is horrendous and can truly ruin
100%.
everything.
100%. And final, the Chad He has spoken, and he says he plans everything.
He does.
And let
I
me
will
tell
say.
you, I know
he
this
plans
for a
down to like
fact.
the specific time that like dinner is happening.
Oh, my man, he books his hotel 2 years in advance.
Yeah.
He books his reservations for dinner at least
booked for
9
HHN
months in
40.
advance. He's booked through HHN 44 right now. Okay, bud? He's good to go. Okay?
Oh my God.
He
He's
is
ready to go. He's got
He's
the
like-
cars ready to go as well.
I got cars.
He's already
He
rented
is-
the cars.
Yep.
Hey, you want to save money? Cling to the chat. He is a wonderful friend to have. I'll just say,
He's
What is
poor
wrong
radio
with you?
guy. Poor radio guy. Been like, I will.
I love
kiss
my
you.
Chad.
I
I
love
love
Chad.
my Chad.
He bought
I
me a
love my
dinner
Chad.
once, and I will forever.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He did buy you a dinner, and that is
Yeah.
gorgeous of
It
him.
was so sweet of him. And I think I
It
just
was a
bought
one
him
and
a
done.
beer. I think I bought him like a beer to sell. Yeah. He's like, I gotcha.
Bullshit! You gave him a Nutrigrain bar.
A stick of gum.
And he was like, and when he gave it to him, he was like, "You gonna eat all that?"
No, even worse. He showed up at the pool. I had half a drink and was like, "Do you want the rest?"
Oh my God.
It's got Jaeger. So that's
But
the
I'm not
show.
going to tell you about it.
That's the show. Those are our tips
Yeah.
for an
So-
HHN trip. If you have any other questions, please reach out. To
Yeah.
August
So
Bond.
again, kind of refresh. If you can, get the hotel early because you only have to put down the deposit for the one night. And you can call and pay for it ahead of time completely.
Yeah,
You don't have to
completely
wait
off.
till you get there. They might say no, but call again later and get somebody else because I
and
promise
then
you can do it.
And then all they really just want is your card on file. They want to be able to charge something so they can keep a card on file.
And then when the tickets come out, I would recommend even, like Zach said, buy a one-day ticket, and then you can upgrade to Rush of Fear if you want to. So again, that is already like almost putting a deposit. So it's kind of just pacing out your money as you go along to kind of help you. And if you're really not that great with all of it, you can call up Universal and they can put an entire package together for you. You pay the deposit and then you can pay monthly and kind of put yourself on a plan in that.
One last thing that we forgot to mention that I think is
Yeah.
worth mentioning as well is if you want to be in the park ahead of time, they do sell that late.
Stay and scream.
Yeah, if you want to do stay and screen, but you don't want to pay for a full day ticket, what is it? It's still $20, right? You
It's
can
like
get in at
30
3
now.
o'clock. It's 30
It's
now.
like
All right,
30.
but you get in at it's still 3 o'clock, right? And you
2
get
or
the 2
3.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get in, then you can see the horror makeup show and get right into a stay and scream and get to still enjoy it. So
100%.
And I will say, based off of last year, I really thought we were going to be able to do more, but the pressure to get into
it's
the
tough.
stay and scream
And then
was
getting into a
very
line,
adamant
yeah.
because you needed to get into the lines like almost immediately, whereas
Yeah.
like the chill part wasn't there as
So-
much, just as a heads up.
When we're closer to the event, I would like to do, like, this is planning your trip. We're going to have a Hunters
Tips and
Plan Your
trips.
Night.
I love it.
So we'll
Wow.
do that coming soon to a Hunters podcast near you. So I guess do your thing, Wendy.
All right, stay scary, my friends.
Oh my God.